Howdy folks, Meandering Mike in the Man Cave of Madness, and we are continuing with turn number 1 of Britannia. The Romans have gone and spread out, hit the Belgians, hit the Welsh, made the Welsh submit. The Belgians took their turn and counterattacked, hitting into Essex and Suffolk. It was quite a bloodbath, Suffolk, but the Romans did lose 2 forts. The Belgae are down to just 3 armies, but they did score some good points and hurt the Romans. So the Welsh's turn is next. If we look at this turn order of play here, Romans, there are no Romano-British. Belgae went out, it's the Welsh's. Then the Brigantes, Picts, and Caledonians. Those are all that are on there right now. So the Welsh don't really have anywhere to go. They can't fight the Romans, and they don't want to attack the Cheshires, the Brigantes in Cheshire. Just doesn't make sense. They really don't want to weaken Clyde or Gwynedd. No sense to those around. They could beg the Romans to let them get pop growth, but the Romans will probably say no in this case, unless there's some wheeling dealing in a true 4-player game. Please, good sir, let me grow, and I won't attack other purple nations later. So that's not going to happen in my little solo play here. The Romans are like, nope, you've submitted. Shut up, be our slaves, and all's good. Okay, so the Welsh are doing nothing. Their turn's over. So it is the Brigantes' turn. And there they are up there. As you can see, they lost 1 province in March. So they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 clear terrain, 2 hilllands. The hilllands are worth a half point each, so that's 7 points for pop growth. So we got their population growth marker. 2 armies are going to get growth. 3 points for each army, and they'll have 1 left over. So up here we have put the Brigantes on the 1 pop reserve remaining. The Belgians were at 2. So where to put these? So the question is, what do the Brigantes want to do? The Brigantes get lots of points for killing Romans. 3 per Roman army, only 1 per fort. Unlike the Belgians, which was at 2 and 2. They will score points on turn 4. Strathclyde, Galloway, they're most valuable. Other areas are only with 1. So Strathclyde, obviously want to keep those defended. Doesn't make sense to attack the Romans right now. They're just too strong. They got armies here. So it's like, okay, we'll defend. You come to us. And if you lose, armies against us, we're going to score big points. So we could decide to like pump the defense into the Pennines or Galloway and or Strathclyde. We could potentially abandon part of the south, or we could throw more into the south. One advantage of, say, if we put our population growth here and had 2 each on the border, when the Romans want to charge forward and, say, overrun and keep going, they would have to have 4 armies in these to overrun through them. So that does take a bigger commitment to that front line, and they might survive with an army when there's 2 of them there. Only one of them might get killed, and they could retreat a bit, assuming the backfield didn't get all occupied with overrunners. But we could like abandon Lothian and defend Strathclyde or Pennonsmore. I mean, are the Picts going to jump on them and try to take that? Probably not. They could if there's a long-running enmity between the blue and the red player in your games, that maybe they'll would be fighting and squabbling early. Let's try this strategy. Let's say little defense down to the south. Increased chance of, let's get some kills. Want to roll some 6s, kill some Roman armies. Make them have more down here to overrun. Let's do that. So that is the Brigantes turn. So we've done the Welsh, did nothing. The Brigantes. It's now the Picts, who are the blue guys way up there. All right. So the Picts have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hillans. That's 2.5 points. And 1 clear. That's 3.5 total. So they actually get to grow 1 army. Let's see. Here is the Pict population marker, right? Yep, Pict. So they'll have a half left. We'll get to grow 1 army. Excuse my reach. So, no. So this is the big question: is do you want to pick on the Caledonians? Yeah, you do. This is one of the things that in a later version of the game that loopholes will actually change the order of the Picts and the Caledonians. Have the Caledonians go beforehand, so that they could either, try to farther forward defense or something like that. Or you can even get gutsy. They could come up and attack Sky and move 1 up here and try to see if they could do that, preemptively attack. But in this version, the Picts go before the Caledonians. So we're going to grow up there. I think so. One option would be try to totally secure flank, send 2 armies in here, bring something up to occupy that, try to take over the Hebrides, so that then you can push up against the Caledonians later. Or go against this now while you can. Potentially you can hit with 3. You can take the 2 here, the 1 here, move some things around. Like you don't need to... The Romans, the farthest it could penetrate is up to Lothian or Galloway on the next turn, on turn 2. And major invasion over. They got the double whammy on turn 1. They got the 2 turns in a row for move and fight, but it's just 1 per now. But they could still move 3. They could potentially do like 4 armies here to overrun 2 here and get into here. So they could conquer all this and be ready to start flowing into there on turn 3. Or they could go up this route here. Potentially go both and have very little here. I think they want to get some revenge against the... I think the Empire wants to strike back against the Belgies that struck back. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit up there. Oops. There, how's that? Yeah, let's do the Caithness. Let's increase the odds greatly, because you got to remember, the attacking into the Hillens, you only hit on a 6, and the defender still hits back on the regular armies on a 5 or 6. So when you go in with just 2 guys, you might not make it in. But we're going with 3, all right? So bring him up to make sure he can't come out. Alban is worth more points, so we're going to here. So right now, no one has boats up here. That's a little thing that allows some of these guys to hop out one and hit somewhere else. They might not be adjacent. They can do that, but no one has boats at the beginning. Yep, we'll do that. Okay, so let me bring this over here so you can see the dice rolls. Gonna push them in a little farther. There, that should be good enough. You can see over the top of the dice tower, the bed of it. So we are going into Caithness. We got 3 regular armies, so they're needing 6s on the black dice. The red dice is hitting on a 5 or 6. All right, it's miss, miss, miss. So I think they're probably going to want to retreat. If they had only come in with 2 guys, they might have stayed and tried to fight. But boy, if they stayed and they lost this guy, and then there's only one here, they could potentially get wiped out. Now the Picts have to be careful about sending too much way north, because you want to oppose the Romans when they arrive. Having a bunch of Picts here in the Highlands, maybe the Romans take Dunedin, but you want to try to save Deladria and Alban. So there we go. That is, remember, you have one overstack, so that's why we was able to have 3 in this place here. So we're still in Skye, but Moray and Mar are not occupied right now. But potentially they'll be able to split up. And they're going to get more growth next turn. So that was the Picts. So the Caledonians get to go. And they're the last one. And they get a tiny little measly 1 population point because they have 2. Only 2 instead of 3. They're not going to attack. They're just going to sit there and grumble and piss and moan. Alrighty. So that's it, folks. That was turn 1 of Britannia. We did a complete turn there. And stay tuned for turn 2. Either tomorrow or the next day, and we will see what happens in the south. We've got this to deal with here, the Belgies, that the Romans are a little upset about, but potentially now they can just walk into the downlands. They'll be able to walk through Suffolk into Norfolk. And it's just a question of how many do they send back to beat on these guys and try to take these guys out in Lindsay or not. So how complete will the revenge be? It was good points for the Belgi. They actually scored an extra 4. So right now they have 6 points total for the Belgis, and they deprived the Romans of 5 points in the future order. These would have been in turn 5. That would have been 5 points for the Romans for Essex and Suffolk. So the Belgians might get wiped out, but well, of course they care. No one wants to be wiped out. But it seemed like the thing to do at the time. Revolt, rebel against the Empire. All right. So that's it. Meandering Mike and Cave of Madness playing Britannia. Zooming back out. So